For those of you who receive emails from Sonlight, you maybe have noticed that we've been getting some emails about an upcoming project that we're doing, a fundraiser that we're linking with another agency. Why in the world would a for-profit company like Sonlight do something like that? Take some of our high-quality people, send out emails to our entire customer base. What would be the rationale for that? And that's what I want to talk about today, because we do have a reason of why we do that. As a company, one of our corporate goals is to raise up families with a heart for the world. It's one of those things we've had in our DNA since the very beginning. And one of the ways we do that in a number of different ways. We read a lot of missionary biographies, we try to study the world, we try to look at other cultures. But this actually fits quite nicely with the way of introducing kids to other parts of the world. So it fits very well in that particular way. We do it as well because it helps introduce some of our families to some of the ministries that might be out of their normal purview. They might not ever have heard of some of these. So it gives us a chance to broaden even the understanding of our customers at this time. Gives us a chance to link arms together as a community. In past years, when we've done a fundraiser for a charity, we've had just an enthusiasm and excitement. And as we work together as a group and as a team and many, many families together, we just get to do more amazing and great things for God. It's just a super great opportunity. I think probably a more unusual thing that just caught my attention this past year is as we spearhead some of these more unusual projects, I don't know of another company that does fundraisers for kids. And as we do that, we have a chance to broaden even the reach outside of our own community. We know that the one we did a couple of years ago was used by a number of private Christian schools, and because they had this tool in place, they could use it to raise funds and raise vision in other arenas. And just this past summer, our own church used in VBS a project we had done a couple of years ago. It wasn't a huge moneymaker, but you're building vision in really unique and novel ways beyond even what we can do. And I think that partnership is just super exciting and fun. And I mentioned it's written specifically for kids, and I wanted to touch on why we think it's important to deal with things for kids. For one thing, we're in a curriculum company, we deal with kids all the time. But partially, we want to be building what we put into the lives of our kids more than just the educational piece. We want them to know how to do math. We want them to know how to do science. We want them to be able to read, of course. But there's just other things we want to build into the lives of our kids. And I think one of the things I really like about the projects that we do is we can help kids with their me first mentality. And I say that about kids, but I think we all wrestle with that. We all think, it's important for me to get what I need. But if we are good parents, we want to raise up kids that also think about other people. This is a very useful and easy tool to use to do that. Studies have been done. If you're a depressed person or you're having trouble in your life, the best thing to do is to serve someone else. This type of a project is a very easy way to help our kids focus on another part of the world, focus on someone else, do something for someone else, even within the safety of their own home. I think, too, it's a very effective way to teach our children from a very young age. It's more blessed to give than to receive. That's from the Bible. And it's so counterintuitive. Now, wait a minute. I'd rather get than give. But studies, again, have been done that people who are charitably minded are happier people. How strange is that? These are done by, of course, non-believers, but it solidifies what the Bible said. So if we can teach our children to give, to share with what they have with other people, we're really doing a good service for them. I think, this was a new thought for me, it teaches our kids to be proactive. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we give because we see maybe a man at the side of the road. We'll give him some money as we're driving by, or we do it kind of spur of the moment. It's not necessarily something we've planned or something we've destined to do. And I'd like to recommend that people think about how they want to give charitably in all of their arenas of life. I think if we just kind of willy-nilly scatter our funds here and there, I don't know if we're as effective as we could be. This type of a program can help our children learn to plan, to purpose, to think through, this is what I want to do, this is the type of thing I want to give to, and to be very purposeful throughout all of their life. And I think that is a good life skill to have. Of course, this type of a program can build compassion in the lives of our kids. So often we think that the rest of the world lives exactly like we do. I'm here to tell you they don't. We think everybody has enough food on the table or everybody has electricity. There's a number of villages around the world that lack very basic necessities like electricity and water and sewage, and this type of a thing can build compassion in the lives of our kids in a way that's really, really hard to do in another way. It also teaches about the world and the needs that are in there. This particular video series that we're going to be doing with our customers this year has a homeschooled boy who travels by plane, I think, to 4 different locales. He goes to Bali, which wouldn't be too tough to go to. Then he goes to Indonesia and Korea and ends up, I believe, in Russia. Places most of us will never have the opportunity to visit. But through the magic of cameras, through the magic of video, we get a chance to see how people live under communism, how people live in more repressive societies or in very opulent societies like South Korea. It gives us a chance to experience the world, and then they meet up with people who've maybe never had a chance to hear about Jesus. So we get a chance to understand the needs that are there. I think, too, it can teach our children to be advocates. As we go through life, we don't want to just be people that, I don't want to say wander, but just kind of plod along. But I think we want to be people who are purposeful. Another core value of Sonlight is to raise up kids that are ready to do whatever God's called them to do. And as we pray more regularly here in the building, that often comes up. Lord, may your kids be ready to do whatever you call them to do. We want kids that go out and have a dream and a vision to go out and change their world. How we can do that is we can train them to be advocates. So you can have some of our kids that will write to Grandma and say, oh, Grandma, if I do this and this and this, will you partner with me in this? Or if I mow your lawn, will you give me X towards this? Or whatever our kids will do that encourages them to be advocates for people that need resources beyond. In the past few programs, we've had a viral movement almost to go out from here, where we've had Sonlighters who let other people know, and it's been a much bigger program than we even expected, and I think that's terrific. That's what I mean by let's build up kids that are advocates and ready. In Sonlight, we just use a ton of books where the kids get out and make things happen and do great things even in their community. And I'm here to tell you that's purposeful. That's the kind of kids I want to raise. Ordinary people who do extraordinary things. So may it be that that's one of those things that happens as a result of this program. And I think ultimately the reason we want to focus on kids is because we want to impact their heart. Another Bible verse says, where your treasure is, there your heart is as well. As kids learn to give away some of their own wealth, some of their own savings, some of their own time or resources, that impacts their heart. And I think that's a good thing, to raise up kids that have an opportunity and a love for the peoples of this world as they give either of their time and money. I don't think it's just good for kids. I think it's also good for families. And as I mentioned earlier, one of our goals is to raise up families with a heart for the world. Moms can do that as they read with their kids, but as they go through a program like this with their kids, they too become more aware of the things that are happening in their world. I think too it becomes a joint project. A lot of times the parents in a family will do a tithe to their local church. The kids aren't necessarily involved in that. They go every week, they maybe put a little offering in that mom hands them and they put that in the plate. But usually the offering for the church is not necessarily done by the kids in a family. This is an opportunity for kids to learn to give and to be generous types of people. It can be a joint project where mom and the kids work together. If I wash the windows, if I clean out these drawers, will you? A joint project. I think too, it leads to a lot of very creative thinking. As we've had different reports come back in the past where the moms will say, oh, my son took all of his great toys and he did a garage sale, or you can't even remember all the creative thinking that's gone on in the years as people have chosen to take on these projects and make a difference in their world. Very good creative thinking, very good way to do. It's good for them to learn together. I mentioned that earlier, that the moms and the kids can watch these together and talk through the things that they've seen and the things that they've understood. It's a prime opportunity for families to come together and impact their world in a different way. The nonprofit we're linking arms with is called Far East Broadcasting. It's a radio ministry, and it's a different ministry than we've done in the past. What we're going to be doing is raising up money for little handheld radios. You think, okay, who needs a radio in this world? I'm here to tell you that the little handheld radios are ideal for villages that don't have electricity, that don't have any of these services. They have a little wind-up, and they get radio broadcasts that come in, and it might be the only opportunity that a village that has no power has to hear about the gospel. Radio can go to places that maybe a traditional missionary can't get into. We had to very carefully pick which countries we would do, because Far East Broadcasting does radio broadcast into places that are quite closed, and they don't necessarily even want us to be speaking about them. But to support the believers that are there, and to support people that might have an interest in the safety of their own home, radio can be a unique and precious way to do that in a world that needs to hear. I think, too, when you bring a little handheld radio into a village, we oftentimes think, oh, radio, it's my own personal. You know, you see somebody with an iPod and they're off in their own little world. That is not how these villages work. When somebody gets a radio in a village, that is everybody's entertainment. So you are multiplying the impact and the influence that you have as you give a little handheld radio. I think, too, I mentioned that it both allows people who are interested to listen to the broadcasts in the safety of their home, or it can build up the body of believers that are in some of these regions where the gospel has just been pushed out by repressive governments. It's a chance to support fellow believers that we know. I think the ultimate why of why we are doing a project like this as a company is because we can teach kids salesmanship. We can teach them to be advocates. We can have them go sell magazines door to door, or whatever fundraisers you might be able to find. But I think for this particular project, what captures my heart is the fact that one day, as a believer, I believe we're going to be in heaven and meet with believers from around the globe. The Bible says there's going to be some from every people, nation, tongue, and tribe. There's going to be people there. And it could be that as the result of the radios that our kids raise funds for, that they'll meet someone in heaven that says, boy, I learned about Jesus through a radio broadcast. Wow, can that be an amazing goal and dream and vision, that one day our kids might meet somebody that they had a direct impact in the life of. So if you're a praying person, and of course I'm not going to assume in a room of this size that you're going to be, please do pray for this project. Anything that's strategic and important gets pushback. Anything. And we know that something of this size and this magnitude and of this importance, the enemy is just going to come against it. So if you pray, please pray that this project would go successfully for God's great name. And even if you don't pray, I would like to encourage you all to sign up. It's cute. It's video footage from around the world. It gives you a chance to learn about the world. May it be that everybody at Sonlight has a chance to enjoy that. Thank you.